In the first months of the invasion, Russian aviation outnumbered Ukraine's by 5 to 1. But soon, more and more videos began to show damaged Russian Su-25s barely making it back to their airfields. Wondering who helped them with it? Well, that happens when a 1,400 American Stinger MANPADS hits the battlefield. Of course, using weapons from the 80s comes with its own quirks, and who better to explain that than the Ukrainian soldiers who have personally felt the burden of the Stinger on their shoulders. There wasn't even a chance for them, the Russians, to escape, shares a soldier with the call sign SVAT, reflecting on the weapon's impact. The war in Ukraine is currently the hottest conflict zone in the world, where American weaponry is undoubtedly useful. So, to help Ukrainians take down even more enemy pilots, the United States provided them with 3 different Stinger modifications. The first is the MANPADS version. The second is the FIM-92 Stinger DMS, and the third is the Avenger SAM system. All of them are now active on the battlefield. Here's what the soldiers have to say after putting them to use. It's a very effective piece of gear. If we'd had it back in 2014, the skies would have been a lot clearer than they are now, says Soldier Alexander, speaking about the FIM-92 Stinger MANPADS. And this senior soldier with the call sign Lorenz shot down a Su-25 on the first try. It was my first experience, my first launch. Hit that like button if you want to see more spot-on shots like these for Ukraine. After all, it takes 5 weeks of training and practice on a laser simulator to learn how to operate a FIM-92 Stinger. At the start of the war, Ukrainians didn't have that kind of time. So what was their workaround? I'd never even handled one, a Stinger, before. No shooting experience whatsoever. While we were on our way and still had internet, we downloaded a video where a US Marine explains what's what. Wow. So a Ukrainian soldier learned to operate a MANPADS from a YouTube video? Wouldn't be surprised if he finds instructions online to build a Tomahawk missile in his garage and launch it at Moscow. But seriously, his story sounds like an incredible stroke of luck, considering it can take up to 15 shots to hit a single target. As for that unlucky Russian Su-30 in fall 2022 in Kharkiv, it strayed off course and ended up right in the sights of a MANPADS. The result? Well, you can see it in the video. Alright, we're convinced that an encounter with a Stinger can mark a Russian aircraft's last moments in the sky. But what about helicopters? Can it handle those too? The Ka-52 helicopter is equipped with flares to protect it from MANPADS, but they couldn't save it from a FIM-92 Stinger strike. The Ka-52 isn't the only one lucky enough to experience American weaponry firsthand. The former commander of the Azov Regiment released footage of a Stinger missile hitting a Mi-35M in Zaporizhzhia. Here's how the soldier Svat describes his shot at a helicopter with a Stinger. 2 helicopters were coming in. They intercepted the first shot as a decoy, but the second one hit the helicopter directly. Russians didn't even have a chance to escape. The helicopter just broke apart as it hit the ground. No one survived. The adrenaline was through the roof after that. As you can see, the MANPADS fulfilled their main mission. The crews of Russian airplanes and helicopters will now think twice about flying on a combat mission. But in modern warfare, there are many other threats. For example, missiles and UAVs. Is the American Stinger effective against them? Let's try to find out. On the night of August 30th, 2023, the Russians launched 20 cruise missiles of various types at Kyiv. One of them was a Kh-101 air-to-ground missile. It was shot down by a fighter of the Mobile Air Defense Unit, Alexander. I'm convinced now that a Stinger can even take down a missile, proven in the field. Our enemy tries to launch missiles and Shaheeds at night, so we attach a night vision device to the Stinger to spot the targets. It might seem like just luck, but another Ukrainian soldier managed to outdo his comrade's success. This guy shot down 2 cruise missiles back-to-back in northern Ukraine. I heard the missiles coming, and 2 minutes later, I spotted one visually. Threw the Stinger on my shoulder and fired. I heard it hit. Then they brought me a second Stinger. I waited for the second missile, heard it launch, and, well, I took it down too, he recounts. The Russians have upgraded their missiles to make interception harder, equipping the Kh-101 with flares, But despite that, Ukrainians are keeping up the fight. A cruise missile was flying at about 1,000 feet. The speed of our Stinger launcher allowed us to catch up and neutralize it. This Ukrainian air defender is on duty 24/7 with his FIM-92 Stinger DMS mounted on a Humvee. He's quite impressed with the system's performance. We're taking down everything. Thanks to the solid work of this crew, we're hitting our targets on time. And here's how an American AN/TWQ-1 Avenger SAM system, courtesy of the US, takes down a cruise missile. Didn't stand a chance. But there's still another aerial threat: Russian UAVs. How will the Stinger handle them? During another attack on the Kyiv region, Ukrainian air defense operator Alexander shot down a Russian Shahed 136 UAV with a single Stinger shot. Meanwhile, Marines from the 38th Brigade destroyed 7 enemy strike drones in just one night. Impressive. So how was the FIM-92 Stinger proven so effective in modern warfare? The key lies in its cost effectiveness. Its price tag is far lower than the targets it takes out. Let's look at how this plays out with a Ukrainian crew in action. Air defender Alexander has destroyed 12 aerial targets, marked by painted tridents on his Humvee. His tally includes 2 Su-25s, 2 Ka-52s, 2 Shahed 136 UAVs, and 5 Orlan 10 UAVs, a combined worth of approximately $57.7 million. Typically, taking down one target might require up to 15 missiles. Assuming the maximum of 15 missiles per target, that's around $27 million in costs, still only half the value of the Russian equipment taken down. With 1,400 FIM-92 Stinger manpads now on the battlefield, Ukraine's air defenses have been significantly strengthened, proving their edge over Russian weaponry. It's chilling to imagine what could have happened if these systems hadn't been delivered on time. Ukrainians couldn't have sourced a comparable number of Soviet-era Igla manpads, and even if they had, would they be as effective in modern warfare? The question is rhetorical. Of course, reliable, high-quality weaponry is just half the battle. Knowledge and training are crucial too. So, where did Ukrainian soldiers get such precise Stinger skills? Resources are limited, and every shot counts. To avoid wasting live Stingers on training ranges, the Ukrainian company Skiftech developed a portable laser simulator. With it, soldiers can practice 1,000 shots if needed, then hit real targets in combat with confidence. The device can be used on ranges in various weather conditions. For example, this soldier, along with his commander and a comrade, is practicing shooting down a drone in open, windy terrain. While one soldier pilots a DJI Mavic, another identifies the target and fires with a simulated shot. Ready for combat. Target search. Target in sight. Azimuth 230. Target is isolated. Destroy it. Target locked. Fire. After the shot, a notification sounds from the simulator's speaker, confirming the target hit. This lets the instructor begin analyzing the results on a tablet. Here's what he says. We have the results. Battery detached on time, meaning it was removed within 5 seconds. And for the shooting results, target hit. The simulator replicates the full weight of a combat-ready Stinger. It includes every part of the Stinger: a cooling unit that heats up, guidance systems, a safety, sights, and all other components. The instructor can also increase training difficulty by enabling a heat flare simulator within the app. This device allows soldiers to train against real aircraft, helicopters, and drones. For instance, in this video, a GUR-MO soldier is practicing with the training system against a simulated enemy on a UH-60A Black Hawk helicopter. This tool helps drill the maneuvers to muscle memory, actions that would be prohibitively expensive with a real Stinger. Essentially, we can fire as many times as we want, shares a representative from Skiftech. Ukrainians have found a creative way to conserve their resources, especially since they don't have the industrial capacity of the US. But the question remains, can America truly equip itself for the wars of the future? As experience has shown, The war in Ukraine is the largest armed conflict of our time, where Russia deploys every weapon type except nuclear. The fighting is so intense that manpads are practically considered expendable. Ukrainians are shooting down dozens of targets daily. Their experience has made one thing clear. It's not just Ukraine or even NATO allies who might face a shortage of Stinger missiles. Believe it or not, the United States hasn't built a new Stinger missile since 2005. The terrorists U.S. forces fought didn't have jets, helicopters, or large numbers of drones. To replace the 1,400 missiles sent to Ukraine, the Pentagon signed a $624.6 million contract to produce new Stinger missiles in Tucson. Without the Ukrainian aid packages, the Stinger production line might have stayed dormant until a conflict around Taiwan sparked it back to life. According to the Pentagon, it will take about 2.5 years to get the first units off the production line. Why so long? Several components for these manpads are no longer in production, meaning new ways to restart and expand manufacturing are needed. It was only during the fighting in Ukraine that the US recognized and began addressing this issue. One temporary solution to replenish US stocks has been refurbishing out-of-service missiles. Thanks to this, 1,900 missiles have been returned to Army warehouses for training and combat. This approach not only saved the US $50,000 per missile, but also allowed for increased support to allies. In the Russia-Ukraine war, the Stinger hasn't just gotten a second life. It's proven the effectiveness of manpads as a weapon class, even in extreme conditions. Could you imagine, in any other conflict, fighters with a Stinger on a boat shooting down a Russian Su-30 SM jet? In Ukraine, this became possible thanks to Western weaponry and the expertise of the main Directorate of Intelligence's operatives. The Pentagon has closely examined these lessons and drawn conclusions that US adversaries won't like. The government has contracted the production of new Stinger missiles and the development of a modern replacement. In doing so, the US will bolster its own security and assist allies waiting for this weaponry to strengthen their defenses. Which American weapon would you like to hear about in our next videos? Share your thoughts in the comments.